Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of our 4th Age Reunited Kingdom campaign. Today I think we need to keep up the pressure in the north, and the way I am going to do that is by taking this army that has just taken, basically sacked Tardal for the second time. We're going to move it over into the east. Specifically, we're going to go for Lastbridge. We're going to set up right here on the bridge, and I'm thinking we may as well put the settlement under siege. When this army attacks us in another turn or two, they will be fighting us on a bridge. We'll have that advantage given all of our archers. We will have a single unit behind us, these dark swords, which shouldn't pose too much of a problem, and we should be able to deal with this. Now, this army may not attack us in a couple of turns. They do have the movement points to take Tardal back immediately. Maybe they'll do that. If not, hey, if they don't attack us, we'll assault Lastbridge, because I really want to get this. We also have some other stuff that we want to take care of around the map. We do have Fornost under siege here, and you know, I think I'm just going to leave it. We've got a couple of bodyguards, and they're not going to be able to do anything at all. We're going to have the Grim Spears and the Dark Bows bring up rams or ladders or whatever, and so I think we can deal with that with what we have here. Maybe this is a horrible mistake. Over in Numinas, again, I think we've got, well, potentially enough to deal with this. There's some orcs here, but look at the size of that colored section of the banner. It's tiny, indicating to me that these units are really small. I think I will go ahead and splurge for another unit. Let's go for a unit of King Swordsmen, just for some melee guys, and then we'll hope that is enough to hold. Down here, I think it's probably not a bad idea to go for another unit of Rangers of the North, just to get some more versatile units around here. We're going to leave the Watchtower of Amonsul yet again. They've placed it under siege immediately after the previous turn, and they don't have any siege equipment yet. Again, I'm not too worried about that. I think that settles everything in the north that we want to do, but interestingly, I am observing that Tharbad is making a pretty good go of things to the south against the Dunlendings. It doesn't look like they've made a great amount of progress yet, but they're certainly heading in that direction, and they're going to be helped by Rohan, my ally. And so, you know, this could be a bit of a problem. Once Dunland is gone, Tharbad is almost certain to attack us, if not before. So we want to get our nice secure position in the north in time for that challenge. Let's take a look now back down at the south, where we've got a pretty decent control of things. We do have some settlements, or some ports rather, being blockaded by Harondor currently, and I think we can deal with that actually right now. I've got an Alcarondas just waiting at Pelargir, so let's send him over here, and we'll chase these guys away and possibly sink them even. Yes, very good. And the other thing I might consider doing is just putting this fleet right here, where we can get the army on board and then bring them down to the Harondor region to sort of configure how those men are going to go. Now, we don't have a ton of movement points. I guess I could bring them down here, but it doesn't look like we'll actually have the movement points with the army inside the fleet. Let's put them on the boat. Yeah, they're not quite going to make it. So I'd rather not risk it. Let's just take them out of the ship there so they don't start losing supply or something. And we'll wait for next turn to do our transport. Elsewhere, we did observe some Southron armies aimed in our direction. We've got a big Haradrian army here. We've got a lot of smaller Southron Harondor armies that are likely to head north. And so I think we need to be ready for that, basically. We do have some mercenary swordsmen. I wonder if we could take them out of here. Yep, we retrained them in the last turn. Can we get away with both of them? Yes, we can. And so that's actually a lot of, front-line kind of fighters. Not the best, but pretty decent. We can, however, probably retrain these King's Swordsmen. So let's send them back. I think I'm happy with the Longbowmen as they are currently. So let's send back these 2 swords, queue them up for retraining. We've got another unit coming. And then maybe actually instead of that, maybe we'll go for another unit of Cav. These guys are pretty solid, actually. And that'll help complement the other unit we have. Because, again, the heir here is actually leading this unit of White Company. You know, maybe that's something I should look into. He's a Dunadan of the House of Hurin. And so do we want the House of Hurin taking over the kingship of the Reunited Kingdom? I'm not sure that we do. but I don't know if we have a lot of other options here. We've got Cavalry of Anduin, who is the current ruler, and he's a nice House of Telcontar fellow, but he doesn't have any kids yet. And that's sort of my understanding. I never paid too much attention to this when I'm playing the Reunited Kingdom, but my understanding is these guys are very, very slow to reproduce. Now, we do have Aradan here, and he's got a couple of kids. He is not of the House of Telcontar, though. He's from the northern branch, apparently. Well, I mean, so is Strider, right? So he's from a slightly different branch. Oh, that's right, because he's connected by marriage. So let's just keep things as they are currently. I think we've got a lot of time left for Cavalry. Maybe he'll have some kids, and maybe we'll see a better option. But otherwise, let's leave the army here. We'll get the retrained soldiers and bring them back over. Another very important thing we have to do here is reset the cheese. We're going to take the siege off and put it right back on, just so the settlement doesn't fall and we don't have to suddenly defend against these huge stacks. But hopefully we've bought ourselves some time by giving Daggerlad to Romanian, and I hope that they're guarding our north flank pretty well. And it does, in fact, look like Romanian is interested in taking Lathron too. Looking at our income, though, with all of that, queuing up of training and retraining, we are looking at quite a loss. We've still got 11,000 in the bank even with that, so that's pretty good, actually. And one last thing before the turn is over, I think we'll get rid of the family members inside Harondor. Not get rid of them, we're just going to move them outside the settlement because we don't want them to become the governor. We're going to be moving them. We're going to be taking them around and doing a tour of Harondor, hopefully in this episode. So if they're in the city, they're going to pick up a title. And I don't necessarily want them to have a title of this settlement. I may want them to rule someplace inside Harondor. So we'll just do that for the moment. Maybe we do have a free ship. No, we don't. No free ships in the area, so we'll just have to abide these blockades for the moment, and then we'll call it good. All right, so Harad is actually coming up with a ceasefire offer, and all they want is for us to give Harlor. Now, this is where it's important to pay attention to what the AI values and how the AI operates diplomatically. A lot of times, you're going to get an offer like this, and you're just going to be so insulted by their audacity that you're just going to click the X and just close this right away. But this is actually an excellent opportunity. We can get some stuff out of them potentially here. So we're just going to say, yeah, we'll have a ceasefire. That would, by the way, give us a bunch of income next season because we would be trading with their ports. But we could go for a ceasefire. We could even go for trade rights to increase that, and we're going to ask for some money. Let's see. Let's be a little more modest. Let's see if we can ask for 5,000, and maybe this will work. Yes, they must accept this insulting proposal. So you see, the AI comes on really strong, incredibly demanding, but if they're approaching you with an offer of ceasefire, even if they're demanding ridiculous things from you, it's actually a show of weakness on their part. All right, Tharbad is also approaching us. They are offering trade rights and they're offering map information. I think we're going to just decline this outright because, again, I get a little bit nervous when the AI approaches with trade, especially when it's a faction like Tharbad, where you just know they're waiting to attack. All right, a candidate for adoption has popped up. He is a man of Gondor, House of Galazgil, which is nice to see an actual named house pop up, but he's shadow touched. That's kind of strike one. He's mature, which is kind of strike two, and he doesn't have fantastic traits. I think we can afford to decline. And because we got 5,000 gold off of Harad, and because we're trading again, look at our income. We were down to 11,000. We were going to be losing over 5,000 last turn, but we made almost all of it back through diplomacy. And so we're actually sitting quite pretty. 17,000 in the bank, almost 18 grand. That's quite good. Now, we do have to keep an eye on things because we are at peace currently with Harad, but if history is any guide, that's not going to last. Let's see if they have anything on this ship, and fortunately, they do not. But if they ever do, if we ever see a Haradrian fleet with soldiers, we're going to have to either allow them to get to our shores or attack them and break the peace and trade, which is unfortunate. That may really screw up our ability to soak them for cash in the future. But I think it's worth it if we can, operate from a position of strength here and have enough boats in the sea to prevent them from ever landing on our shores. I think that's the thing we have to focus on. And just look at how sickening this is. They're all just hanging out together completely peacefully between themselves, just waiting to attack me. Well, we've got some armies that we can bring in. Let's see. We can bring in the King's Spearmen, a couple units of swordsmen, horsemen, and maybe we can even afford the bowmen as well. Yeah, certainly that doesn't hurt public order. So now we're looking at a much more respectable stack. Another thing I really ought to consider is swapping out some of these fantastic Company of the Guard units, but I'm sort of thinking of them as the cheese tax that I have to pay to justify otherwise just completely, abusing the gameplay mechanics to avoid having to fight these armies. So, part of the reason we're not being attacked here is because you've got these absolute heroes who are guarding the east. So as much as it would be awesome to use them in battle, they're not going anywhere, and so we will use them at some point. Now, I think we need to start moving this army south, so we'll do that right away, and we'll see what this army's going to bring. It doesn't look like it's too tough. It's very, large looking in terms of how many soldiers it has, based on the size of the coloration in the banner. But you'll notice this is not a full stack, and we're seeing some footmen at least, which means that probably a lot of these units are the lower tier guys. So if we can beat them, then we could be in a pretty good position. Let's get our men sort of down on the bridge, and we'll see if we can hold anything there. The other thing we want to do is start moving our troops around, and this means leaving Harlorn kind of vulnerable. We are in a position where we can establish homeland dominion here, which is actually pretty awesome. So that's only 6 seasons away. I think I'm going to risk it. It's not going to bring in a ton of money, 600 in land tax. It's going to bring in another 300 or so in income tax and just a little bit in trade. We're going to lose 400 of that, so quite a large amount to mismanagement. But just the benefits of being able to, build walls eventually are just are so good. So we'll do that, and we'll see what we can get away with taking out of here. I think I want to leave the Kingdom Militia inside. I think that's probably a good move. We can get these guys on the boat immediately, and if we combine these two armies together, we've got 13 units here and another 8 here. That's almost a full stack. We could even pick up some mercs, but you know what? There's going to be some mercenaries down here. They're going to be cavalry, so they're not necessarily going to be the absolute best. But let's bring our scout over. I think I will get my rogue down here just to keep an eye on the big army, and bring the scout over here. And I'd like to see what this settlement looks like if possible. I'm not seeing any armies nearby. Yeah, they're bringing everybody over to the east, which is awesome. I don't even think they have the movement points to get back here within a turn or so. So what we'll do, let's get you guys first, because you have probably the fewer movement points. So we'll bring you right down across the mouth of the Anduin. And, I don't know that we can actually merge these guys together when we're inside. Let's see. Can we do that? Capacity is exceeded. Oh, we've actually... Right, because we had, 13 plus 8 is 21. So there you go. All right, so we've got a loose archer unit. Well, we'll just put the settlement under siege. Go ahead and queue up 5 rams. And the army, what is this? A Numeramar? I kind of want the archer, but we'll go back to the port for the moment. I'll just remind myself that he's there. And what we'll do with him is use him for garrison or support later on, because we're going to need to leave some armies behind in the settlement here. Otherwise, we've got this nice Alcarandas, and we can definitely do some stuff with it. They were blockading us at Manus Honor, and now they don't have anywhere to run. So we could certainly hit them over here. I think I want to do that. 20 men. All right, so they're gonna recover, but we've got another Alcarandas coming. So I'll bring this guy down, maybe here, just to put him next to this this other fleet. And they've given up their blockades in other regions of the map, so that's excellent. I kind of want to preserve these fleets for Harad duty, so we'll just maybe hold off on fighting these tiny Harondor fleets. We can deal with that with the piecemeal units that we're training. So, Lon Nu Elanath is under siege. I'd like to take and hold this if possible, but we'll see what the public order looks like. And with regard to Dunland, it looks like Rohan has successfully driven them out of the outpost of Dol Baran. They're looking like they're in a quite strong position here, but Tharbad failed to take Dunhold. Very good to see them held back a little bit. I also noticed we were not attacked in the north, so we can go right ahead and assault Lastbridge. There's just a single unit inside here. This is probably something that I'm going to just skip. I'll see you at the end of the battle screen. All right, we've done our usual tactic of bringing our archers forward to draw them out of the town square. We've got the new king charging in here. They're losing heavily, and we have Eridan right around the back. So what we're going to do is have him charge in from the rear and probably bring this to a pretty swift conclusion. There goes the enemy captain, cut down by a longwoman. And they've got nowhere to run, and that's all of them. So we have Lastbridge, a very, very nice settlement to get, mostly for strategic reasons, but also because it denies Adunabar one of their best settlements in the north. We did lose a few men. We took quite a few losses out of our spearmen, because that was the unit I brought up to do the battering of the gate, and they took a lot of losses to the towers on the walls. But having Lastbridge is really nice. It does mean we have a back door over by Rivendell, which we'll have to watch. But let's see what the public order does here, and it's actually quite decent. We could lay Desolate, but I'm thinking this would be a good one to have for ourselves. Public order is going to improve once we lose Tardal across our realm. And we're working on other settlements' dominion buildings. So I think we could just occupy here, and we can get rid of some very nice high-tier buildings that will bring us a lot of wealth. So Temples of the Shadow brings us 4,000 for destroying. Mustering Fields bring us a couple. Otherwise, I'm going to keep all of this stuff. I'm going to keep the Homeland Dominion for now also. We'll go down to low taxes, though, and we can retrain mercenaries here, because the other thing about Lastbridge, it is a chief city. I guess it's imagined that this is the sort of the last settlement before you get into Elf Country, that is where the Dunedain sort of settled after Elessar kind of refounding the North Kingdom. So we'll stick around here. This guy is technically the Lord of Northern Cardolan anyway, so I guess Eridan could pick up the governance of Lastbridge. Not too concerned about it, honestly. I also don't feel the need to spend 3 Mirian to train like one more bowman here, so we'll just we'll leave that for the moment. Everything else, we're going to wait on building because, of course, the costs are going to be a lot cheaper once we get our Homeland Dominion, and that may be a little while. Now, I don't know where the big army has gone. We had that big army of Adunabar somewhere. They did not move towards us, and so they may be hiding in the trees. They did not take Tardal back, so I'm a little concerned because they could be heading for Three Ways or to help out at Fornost. And the other thing I need to watch is what they're going to do at Fornost. Okay, they are building a ram or a siege tower and a ladder, which means they could assault this turn. In terms of men we'd have to fight on the walls, it would be the Grim Spears and the Dark Bows. And our force here is, I think, up to the task. Would definitely want to thin them out with our own bowmen. And depending on how they do it, we might be okay. Might be okay. I guess the other thing I could do is actually send these guys over to help. But turning it into a field battle, I'm not sure how confident I feel about that. Maybe if we move these guys right here. Let's see if we can actually handle the public order there. Yeah, 70 is just enough. So I guess these swordsmen would show up as reinforcements, which would be nice. We don't have a lot of money to play with. We're already losing cash. But, you know, I think that's fine. All right, Darwinian is approaching us. They want trade, and they want us to give them some money. You know, I wouldn't mind throwing a little cash their way because I don't want Dorwinian to get stomped by any of its neighbors, including Rovanian, or Dale, or Rune. But there's no point in trading with them, so I think maybe we'll just give them that as a gift. And we are indeed attacked, and we get some reinforcements. So these 2 units of swordsmen are going to show up. If we can get them in through one of the side gates, that's going to be the plan. Again, we know what the army composition is, so let's hope this works out. Okay, so Fornost has some nice stone walls at least. It's got the same sort of general Dunedainic settlement layout, so no real surprises there. The one problem here is that the ladder and the siege towers start really close to the walls, meaning the likelihood we're going to destroy this seems kind of low to me. Fortunately, this is just a Grim Spears unit, and again, I think our own Kingdom Militia are up to the task, but we won't want to put them on the walls just yet because, of course, that siege tower can do some substantial damage. What we will do, though, is place the captain and these archers right here with the sole purpose of taking out those bowmen as quickly as we can. And our reinforcements are going to come from way over here. So we've got both of them. We're going to run them into the city just as fast as we can. I'm mostly wanting them to be in case something goes horribly wrong. Yeah, you can see we're already doing some damage to these dark bows. Archers are typically good targets for archers. We got 30% damage on that siege tower. 40, that's pretty good. We keep that up, and then we may not have to worry about that. %50 damage, 60. I don't know, they may make it. Alright, let's start to bring our spearmen over. Yeah, they're going to make it, sadly. Alright, 64 Grim Spears. I think we'll be okay. We get the Dark Bows down to just 9 men, so I don't think this ladder's making it. And what we want to do now is, well, we want to hope that we can take out a few of those guys with arrows and hold them with our spearmen while the swords run into the city. Up here, they've got their 2 bodyguard units. If they were smart, they would be heading over to intercept my swordsmen, and they would probably take them out. But they're not going to do that. They're going to wait until there's a gap made somehow, or the gate is opened, and then they're going to rush in. All right, so all the dark bows are completely gone. Great news. One challenge is that we do have this tower right here, which is going to be shooting at the enemy, and so I don't necessarily want to get these guys in the fight because we're going to get some friendly fire. So I'll just hang back right here with these Kingdom Militia and hope that our archers can do some damage. You know, we are firing at them. I'm not sure if we're hitting much. Apparently we are. Got them down to 55 now. It looks like our swordsmen are going to get close too. So they could actually, maybe we could bring a unit up on the walls, or maybe 2 for moral support, especially since there's no other way that the AI is going to come in. So we have to stop them here. Alright, I'm going to bring these other archers over. Maybe we'll be able to get some shots. Probably going to cause some friendly fire, but there's going to be some guys that may present themselves as a target. Alright, so we've got 52 here. We've got 74. And the swordsmen are actually inside. So they're both utterly tired. But let's bring him over. And you know, I'm not really seeing this tower firing for whatever reason. So let's go ahead. Bring the Kingdom Militia in. We'll hit them from the back. Starting to take some of them out from behind. But now they're turning around to fight, so it's not going to be so easy, and we are taking some losses as well. Alright, they're down to 44. This is going to be a bit of a slog, though, so I am glad that we've got some swordsmen to back up, no matter how tired they are. We'll bring one around to each tower, and we'll see if we need to use them. We're starting to see signs of wavering and now shaken. We've got our swordsmen coming into position here. Getting a bit of fatigue back, now very tired. The other guys moving into position as well. So we're down to 27 men. Let's see, I think they're going to break pretty quickly. When they do, the two nobles are just going to ride off, and that should be the end of the siege. All right, down to 13, 12, 11. They're holding out a lot longer than I thought. We lost about, close to half of this one unit and of the other that went in, actually. All right, just a few left now. Just a single solitary Grim Spearman there, backed against the wall. He's still up. And actually doing fairly well for himself. But that's it. You can see off in the distance the enemy nobles are turning tail, and we've defended Fornost very, very good. I wasn't too sure about that one. Turns out we didn't need to bring the swordsmen into the fight at all. So that's good to know. We can hold out against an army like that. Of course, if this had been an open field battle, no way. Those heavy cav would have done a ton of damage to us. All right, and now we're under siege at Adunabar itself. So I'll have to send those swordsmen back there. Let's take a look at that right now. Yeah, so here's those Uruk swords, Orc Band, and a couple of other mysterious things. So what I may want to do, let's see, can we actually, we can't recruit anything at Fornost just yet. It might be worth it, though, to start going on control posts. We don't quite have enough money to justify it, but we've got enough population here that we could train some things and retrain what we already have. So let's send the swordsmen over and see if they're going to stay and fight. They're going to withdraw. Great news. And we can get a closer look. Ooh, that's actually Orc Champions. That probably would not have been a good fight for us to take. So I'm kind of glad they just withdrew. I don't want to face those guys. Let's move back into Adunabar here and train another unit of bowmen and see what our news is. Okay, yeah, Dorwinian trying to get favor with us diplomatically because now they've attacked North Rune, and Romanian and the dwarves are allies. That's fine. We've got Rangers of the North down at Bree, and so it might make sense to move them up into a place like Fornost. Then we can send them over towards Adunabar. Good to have some, again, versatile units. We've got our Curers at Bree, so that's helping out our finances a little bit. And we lost a noble in Pelargir, which means we now have no governor here. So no reason to keep it on local governance. We'll just make sure the taxes are low. And that's sad because he was bringing us some nice bonuses. Oh well, we got up to city development, but never made the jump to the Guild of Venturers. It's very expensive. We could afford it now, but I don't really feel the need to lose 2/3 of my income over it. Harad is the most advanced, and they're still not at war with us, which is potentially nice. But we do again want to keep an eye on their fleets. Still no armies here. Still no soldiers there. And the rest of these boats belong to Harondor, so that's all good stuff. Now, Harondor also has not done anything around Lond New Elenath. They've not even trained up any men in the area. Maybe they're training stuff out of Harngond. Ah, they are coming, though. They're scrambling to face us. So I think we're going to have to steal the initiative from them and assault. We'll do another assault here. Yeah, a couple noblemen, so it'll be nice to take these guys out, and a unit of Swords of Harad. Looks like the walls are pretty basic, probably tier 2 wooden walls, but I think we should be fine for this one. So Lond New Elenath is a Haradrian culture settlement, so it has this kind of layout. That means that there are a few places in the wall that are not terribly well defended. That's one advantage of being a Dunamar faction. You've got walls of your cities anyway that are pretty square, and that means you can be pretty confident that you're not going to have these sort of dead sections of the wall that are not covered by towers. But we can send a unit up here pretty safely. Certainly get the ram there, no problem, and then we'll have to rush some guys to capture these towers, as well as these, so we can move into the central plaza. Alright, walls are down, so we're going to send in the Kingdom Militia here. Now, I'm hoping not to take too many losses from them, because they are one of my spear units. And there's some pretty tough bodyguard cavalry here that we're going to have to deal with. We do have a lot of mariners, which is very nice. Let's see how quickly we can get up there. Yeah, we took about 5 losses there.
Great gods! Our soldiers have done well this day. The walls are taken.
Alright, otherwise, let's see. Maybe we'll send the King's Swordsmen. I think these are the most expendable unit that I have at the moment. We'll capture this tower, and then I think we're good. As soon as that falls, we're going to send everybody else in. Alright, that is now ours. And literally everybody else can just go into the city here. So, in the central plaza, we have these very, very nice Harondor retainers. Their bodyguard unit. 2 of these, and some swords of Harad. Again, very good unit, very tricky to deal with. But we'll see how far we get with our usual tactics. So I'm basically going to send my mariners up here as sort of the first rank. They'll at least counter the javelins. We'll bring the spearmen up too, to guard against a cavalry charge. In fact, I think I will run them up. I'll keep these spearmen over here because they may be useful to move around the flank. We're bringing bowmen up in that direction, and we'll also bring the cav. We got a lot of bodyguards here. One of those is a Dol Amroth. Knights of Dol Amroth unit, and then we got some men-at-arms. So we'll bring them around here, because cavalry is actually going to be really useful for this, I think. Once we get the archers up here, though, they're going to start shooting, and we're going to see the swords of Harad moving in. Cavalry looks like it's moving away. Alright, so we're going to lose some mariners here in a moment. But they've lost a lot more. Here comes the Harondor retainers. Some of them actually going to get a charge bonus here, which is pretty annoying. But we'll run the other guys up into the plaza. That's certainly going to... it's going to make some of them pull back at any rate. But these Harondor retainers are going to do a lot of damage to our swords. Right, bodyguards approaching the plaza. We'll see what they do. Probably going to pull back. Yep, now we've got the counter counting down. So it looks like the swords of Harad are the ones that are moving in, which is actually pretty fine with me. They're going to get shot in the back. And we may get a chance to do a nice cavalry charge here. Alright, let's charge them in. We will get a charge. They're going to rout away. So you know what? Let's just send these guys right after the general. And these guys after the other unit. And we get some routing happening. Excellent. Excellent. There we go. I think we got both of the family members there. Yeah, and that's it. Lond New Eleneth is ours. And you can see right across there our island, Tolfalis off in the distance. Very, very nice. So, not too many losses there. And we get to decide the fate of the settlement. Alright, so we've got pretty bad public order. There's a decent amount of population here. Do I want to expel the populace? Let's think about this. Where do we have governors now? Not in too many places. Mornan, Kalembel, Arnak. That's it in the south, I would say. And then up in the north, I don't know that we have family members anywhere except in Lastbridge, which we just conquered. So you know what? Yeah, let's go ahead and expel the populace there. That'll help public order a little bit. Yeah, just enough, it looks like. So now we're going to be enjoying a 95% happiness in this coastal settlement. Now we're going to have to defend it, it looks like, against several stacks that may combine, or who knows what they're going to do. And then this army doesn't look like it's at all interested in heading west to help defend Harondor, so we're probably going to have to deal with that as well. But let's see what we can destroy here. We'll definitely get rid of the mustering fields and the tribal moot. This is one of their culture buildings. We can just get rid of that. Wondering if it makes sense to get rid of the Homeland Dominion now or wait. Let's see. In Harlorn, we've got 5 more seasons for Homeland Dominion. In Arundel, we've got 1, so that'll actually be improving public order pretty quickly. Here, we've only got 2. So, you know, public order is not seeming like that much of a problem right now. I think it might be a good idea then to do this. Certainly we'll get the cash for it, and we can start building it up. I really want a foothold here, and this will be nice for trade. We've still got a decent amount of population, even with the enslavement or expelling that we just did. And if we do this, repair the wooden wall, we won't have to deal with that gap that we just made. I think the army in here is also pretty decent. We do have this archer. If we can, you know, defeat these guys in the next couple of turns, we can bring this archer unit over here and then move the army outside. So I think that's what we'll do there. Down here, we do not have a full stack, but neither does Harad. And so I think we can afford to bring them, just see, do we want to put them on the bridge? Yeah, let's do that. Set them right there on the bridge. We're almost certain to be attacked in this coming season, but we'll see what they do. This is not their territory, so we're not on Harad's border, technically speaking. So that could be fine. See, we do have this El Carandas, and I'm thinking it might be a good idea to start cleaning out some of these annoying Harondor fleets. So let's just go right here. We're going to get some support from my other ships, and just checking that there's no armies on either of these enemy fleets, and there are not. So one is going to head south, and the other one is going to head off into the north. Again, just somewhat paranoid about enemy fleets, but looks everything's fine. And we may want to bring back these guys at some point. We do have an Alcarandes here that I think, yeah, we'll bring him back north and swap him out for this other unit, which will just keep in a sort of a central location here in case we need it. We'll retrain this and then bring it back down to help out. But otherwise, I think our southern action is pretty well settled. So in the north, actually, we may want to think about getting these guys out of here. Let's take a look at what they have inside Rivendell. Okay, just a single unit for garrison, but they could have a full stack somewhere over here. I don't think they do necessarily, but it's I don't really want to leave this completely undefended. However, really nice to see that Tardal just completely went to the rebels. So no one, Adunabar did not walk back into that one. Over here, it looks like they're just kind of waiting 4 seasons for me to succumb, essentially. So if I can move this army down, and if I'm not seeing any Adunabar armies down here, I don't know where that big stack went. It's not in Ettendale. It could be off somewhere to the north, and that could make for a really nasty surprise if they went like up here and are going to emerge and besiege Bree or something. So let's see. Maybe what I'll do is I'll put them on the bridge, see what the public order looks like, and it's not good, actually. Oh, it's really not good.
Captain.
This is not going to do it. I mean, we're going to just barely be at 70, 75, and that's a pretty tiny army. Well, nevertheless, you know, an interesting thing about this in terms of the border is that Tardal is now rebel-held. So Adunabar is probably not going to come back and hit me here. I think what I'll try to do is keep my spy moving around in the north next season and see if I can find that big stack. And otherwise, we'll wait. We've got a couple of turns, and then we'll have a couple more Dominion buildings up. And public order might be looking better at that point. All right, we do have a nice, suitable husband here, competent at commanding and governing. He is shadow-touched, but he's youthful. Maybe he'll grow out of it. Energetic, intelligent, and charismatic. I mean, those are pretty good. You know, I think I'm going to take him. Okay, he's in Arnak. Let's go and find that guy. So he's kind of far from any particular front. Let's see. Where would be good for him? Possibly him in Arnon, actually. This is a place that does have sort of shadow cult leanings at the moment, and it could use a governor, I think. So yeah, let's have him over here. Nice to have another another family member in the region, and he's got some nice building traits, actually. So we're already seeing some discounts, even though he's not the governor, not attuned. We'll go to the growth policy there and untick those boxes as usual. And he's not going to be very happy with us, most likely, in terms of his opinion of liege trait, because I believe my king is not shadow touch. At least I would hope so. So what we'll do is we'll just get started on building here. We'll go for the construction charter, I think. Although, should I go with... Yeah, let's go with money. Estates and farmlands. And we'll just gradually work up that chain. All right, great. Romanian has attacked Adunabar. That's awesome news. Let's see. Do they have a settlement under siege? Yes, they do. They're besieging Lathron. Now, we're going to want that, guys, so don't get too attached. At some point, that is on our victory condition, so we'll absolutely need that. Maybe we can make a diplomatic deal for it in the future. But for now, I'm just happy they're taking it away from Adunabar. And maybe they'll move down here. A lot of times I do see Romanian take this settlement, or the fort, and then move down into Mordor. All right, we got our fiefdom dominion finished in Harondor. Very nice. Unfortunately, we've lost one of our female family members. We're the most advanced, and we're starting to turn a profit. Over 20,000 now. Excellent news. And yeah, Harad did not attack us here. They're a little hesitant for whatever reason. That's just fine. If they never want to attack us, I'm okay with that. It looks also like Harondor is being rather reluctant to make any move in our direction. So we'll have to bring our armies out, get them in the area here. Now, I'm a little worried that if I move this army away, like even if I completely move around this Haradrian army, this army is then going to just move up north and eventually besiege one of my most important settlements. So I kind of don't want to leave this at all. But we'll see what the army does, because maybe they're going to get in trouble with another faction. For now, let's see. I don't think we've got anyone picked up a governorship here yet. And maybe public order is good enough that we could leave a bunch of guys here. Let's see what it looks like with a couple of archers in there. Okay, it's not looking very promising. Now, the mercenaries here are these very expensive Harondor riders, but they're quite good. I'm not feeling like the need for more cav with this army. But yeah, look at this. We've got some decent stuff here. Well, I think we just have to wait. We'll do building. We'll get the public order nice and happy. If they attack us, I think we'll be okay. We've got some decent infantry too, and we get a lot of cav to sort of surround them. We could do a sally, and that's probably where we would, do the best. So I think we're going to just sit in Lond New Eleneth and at the Poros. We're spending a lot of money on this kind of, solid static borders game, but I think it's the game we have to play while we try to consolidate and build up. All right, we do have a Haradrian fleet moving north, but it is completely empty in terms of units. But this one right here, this is the one that we're worried about. So this is not like a huge problem, but what are they going to do with these guys? They're not going to do anything good. What they could do is land them right here on the island and then immediately attack. And again, inside here, we don't have anything that's that fantastic. So I think we're going to have to go to war with Harad yet again. That's going to hurt our diplomatic standing, most likely, because we started this war. But we just have to make sure they don't keep doing this sneaky stuff. Like, I know where that boat's going. You're not going to fool me. So, meanwhile, make sure we get these guys retrained. And maybe train up another unit just because they're so good. And otherwise, we're just going to have to keep being vigilant. Get rid of these Haradrian fleets, these Harondor fleets, rather, as we see them. And we sunk that one, which is nice. And this one also looks like a pretty weak ship. It's Haradrian, but since we're at war with them, yeah, now's the time to do that. And we can go back here and get rid of this blockade. And destroy that fleet too. Very good. Alright, so you guys can probably come right here. I think we've got a nice balance of staggering our fleets out. And so whatever happens, wherever that Haradrian fleet shows up, I think we'll be able to move some of our own ships into position to deal with it. And Rohan is moving up into the northern parts of Dunland here, besieging Dunkriok. Again, I'm thinking that they're just going to be the ones to ultimately win down here, which is which is good. It's going to keep Tharbat in check somewhat, but it's also a little concerning. Okay, here we go. This is that big army. It's kind of what I was worried about. So let's move our spy up north. And there's not a lot else in the region. So we just conquered Lastbridge. We're very happy to do it. Now the question is, can we leave it? Can we abandon it? And I'm thinking we might have to. So let's move over here, right over to the Watchtower of Amansul. It's about as far as we can get. And probably in the next season, we're going to train up something else. Let's go for, what do we have here? A couple Rangers of the North. We could bring them in through Bree and retrain them. Let's see, we've got a lot of population, so let's go with some King's Swordsmen, though. And here, yeah, let's go with more archers because I don't like the look of those orcs here or here. In Fornost, we still can't train anything. Let's go with an emissary. I've neglected that. And we'll see what the AI is going to do this turn. This is the point at the game where you're really kind of feel like you're desperately juggling in a lot of different theaters, trying to defend a lot with a little. Especially up here. You start to make some progress, and then it just introduces more problems. Okay. But fortunately, we're not attacked from the east yet at Lastbridge. If we are, we've got a lot of archers in here. Some of them we've trained ourselves, which is a shame. Some of them mercenaries. But hopefully we would be able to deal with whatever they throw at us. Alright, we've actually got great movement points to move right over to Bree and then head north. And I'm really wishing that I was seeing some of the those better mercs. But let's get a closer look at that army.
Yes, master.
93% chance of success. I'm still not going to actually spy on them. Okay, right. So we've got a bunch of dark swords, which are tier 2. Some of the tier 1 grim spears, some swords of the shadow, very tough and full unit sizes. Cultists are going to encourage everybody to fight longer, and shadow riders. So a pretty decent army, even got some ranged elements. So this is going to be a tricky fight. They've also generated... All right, so here's the nobles that we drove off. So they got some of them as well. Now, I think if I attack this army right here, they'll get their reinforcements, but I think I won't get mine because it's under siege by the other army. So I think what I want to do is get into position to attack the besieging force, and then I'll get my reinforcements. Over here, I could bring these guys over. Ah, jeez. This army looks way too small to take this on, though, doesn't it? Well, we've definitely got the movement points to take a turn or so and do some retraining. And we can even train another unit of something that takes 1 turn. So what do we need the most? I'm thinking swords. They get a lot of tough infantry. I don't have a lot of that. So we're just going to need more bodies. And then we'll pick up the expensive Harondor mercenaries in the next season. In Adunabar, yeah, let's just double down. Train some more archers. And then we can maybe bring these guys over as well, depending on what they've built for siege equipment and how much time we have left before we can get into position. All right, but Three Ways has its homeland dominion, which is, again, just really good. That's helping with our income. And yes, we're also facing siege down here from Harondor. So I think we'll just have to let them assault, or yeah, that's right, we're going to sally. So I think we'll set that up and make that the goal for the next episode. We'll get everybody out here and see what the AI thinks about that, or at least the balance of power bar. Showing a 1-to-1, which seems about right. They've got 4 units of really, really tough Harondor armsmen. No long range, so we definitely beat them there, and very little cav apart from their excellent Harondor retainers. But we get them with all of our bodyguards. These guys will go down pretty quickly if we get a nice charge. So next episode, we're going to do this sally. We're going to defend the settlement we've taken and continue building it up, and then see if we can scramble forces up into the north in time to face down what I think might be the last big army of Adunabar in the region up at Fornost. I hope to see you in the next episode. Until then, everybody, take care.